Olive Power here with A Fighter's Way. I'm sitting here today with Alexsys Miranda, who fights out of Combat Club. If you want to just introduce yourself, let us know your weight class.
Hi, I fight currently at a 125 division. I'm primarily a striker. That is my background. I come from a karate type of style, and I transitioned to Muay Thai recently. I look to be making my MMA debut soon. That's kind of where I'm at right now.
So, a little bit about you. How did you get your start into martial arts?
So my mom put me into karate when I was 6 years old. And oh my gosh, I know. And she put me and my brother in, but I kind of clinged onto it more. I just somehow really liked the passion behind it. I liked the discipline aspect behind it. And so I stuck with it until about 16 years old. I got my black belt in Okinawa Nishinryu Karate. And then from there on, I mean, my black belt was the beginning of that passion for the martial arts in general. And so from there, when I graduated from high school, I decided to move down here. I'm from Orlando, Florida. And so when I moved down here to live with my father for a little bit, I was serving and I was like, you know, I really need to find a new gym. I really want to continue my passion for martial arts. Like I couldn't go a day without thinking about martial arts. And so I was like, okay, where do I start? Where do I go? And so when I was serving one day, I ran into Danny Valentine, which is the owner of Combat Club. And he discussed with me, hey, I have a gym. I think you would be great for it since you're a martial arts enthusiast. And I was like, yeah, I'll stop by. And when I stopped by, we had conversations. And he was like, hey, like I know your father and I know your family. And I'm like, oh, that's so cool.
How did he strike up the conversation? Was he just like, hey, here's my card? Or like, how did he feel you out that he got the sense that you're a martial artist and was like, hey, you know what, I need to reach out to this girl. I need to get her in my club.
Well, everybody always looks at me and they're like, wow, you're in shape. Like, look at those arms. Like, The first thing people are like, God, look, your arms are like huge.
Let's see. You got that? We got that on camera there?
And they're like, oh, Danny's like, you must work out or, you know, whatever. And he's like, I have a gym. I don't know if you're interested in martial arts. I'm like, that's funny. I'm like, I love martial arts. I've been looking for a new gym. And so he's like, yeah, I mean, here's my card. You should stop by. And I told my dad about it. And he's like, man, that name sounds so familiar. And then he came with me and he was like, Rich and, you know, Danny. And it was so cool. It was like a kind of aha moment. And I was like, this is family. This is where I'm supposed to be, you know?
That's amazing how that works out. It was just like the universe. You're just like needing of a club and it just like answered. How old were you when that happened?
I moved down here when I was about 19 years old, 18 actually. And then I started competing and training like at 19. So.
And that was like around 2018?
Correct.
Okay. And then, so did you get right into just the striking, like focusing on kickboxing and Muay Thai, or did you want to like just get into the MMA scene?
I was honestly so scared. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know, MMA, I see these big guys and they're like massive and hitting each other and going crazy. And I'm like, I don't know, it's a little intimidating, especially coming from karate. So I was like, you know, I'm going to start something brand new. I'm going to do jiu-jitsu only. So I did jiu-jitsu for a few months and I was loving it. It was like clicking well with me. And I met my coach now, Jason Sumchai. And he was like, man, I mean, you got some talent. You really are a martial artist. Why don't you come do some striking? Why don't you do some pads with me?
Wait, so you started off doing striking and then you jumped right into jiu-jitsu right away and did that for a few months before you decided to get back into striking again?
Yes.
That must have been intimidating. Like, how
so intimidating. It was. I think going into the gym, I was like, man, I feel like everyone's going to look at me and be like, karate is like, you know, whatever. It's like not hardcore. So I wanted to be.
They do. Like,
I wanted to be, right. I wanted to be the new girl so nobody could pick on me or just the new girl. You don't know nothing about jiu-jitsu. It's perfect. So I'm like, okay, sure. So I was doing it. And like I said, so when Jason picked me up, he was just kind of like, man, you really are good. Like you have some talent. I believe in you. I think you could be a fighter. And I'm like, no. I told him, I'm like, no way. No, I don't even, I can't even see that. But he saw something in me that I didn't at the moment. And so and
this was a few months into the jiu-jitsu, right?
Yeah, literally from January till like my first fight, I want to say in July. So only just a few months, just 6-7 months. He was just like, I really think you could do something with this. And I was like, oh, whatever you say, sure. So he threw me in my first smoker and I like dominated. I did so good. And he was like, see, trust me. And I'm like, okay, so I think I can do this. I believe you, and I'm going to do this. And I think I want to fight a little bit more and see what it's like to really be like a real fighter. So started picking up a few fights, started competing in a few tournaments.
And this is kickboxing. Okay.
Yeah, just kickboxing, Muay Thai, doing IKF tournaments. And man, I just really started seeing the growth in like my martial arts skills, and my discipline was growing too. My mindset was growing. I think that's the best part about fighting. It's like learning not just the skills, but like learning how to conquer the mind, learning how to connect the mind and the body together, and
That's a big one.
put on a show. Honestly, you know, it's important.
That's actually really good. You know what? Because it's just like one of the difficulties of not being a martial artist for me was trying to get the mind-body connection, especially with jiu-jitsu. But I think it's really good that you actually started off with the jiu-jitsu because it forces you to make that connection relatively quick.
Totally.
Rank-wise, what are you in jiu-jitsu right now?
I got 1 stripe on my white belt. Woo! Yes, currently just 1 stripe. Because once I started striking, that was it. Like, I fell in love with it. Like, sorry, Corey. I stopped training for a little bit because I was just so in love with striking that it just took over. I was like, oh my God, this is it. So I had focused kind of primarily there. And I also started training at Florida Kickboxing Academy as well to get ready for those fights because there's killers over there. Like all of them are killers. So a lot of them had prepped me for all of the tournaments that I did. And, you know, I think striking for me is just something that I don't have to think twice about. I just wake up and I'm like, I want to punch something. I want to kick something, you know? Yeah. And so I think going into this, knowing that I do want to make my MMA debut, I need to start getting back into jiu-jitsu.
Well, I mean, you need to get back into jiu-jitsu, but have you dabbled in wrestling at all?
Yeah, recently I know the Combat Club has been, oh my gosh, the best teacher, Jorge, the best wrestler around here in South Florida. I've been taking some of his classes. He's amazing. It's hardcore. It's not for the weak. I'll tell you that for sure.
So I like the wrestling mentality, you know what I mean, where it's just like you kind of go in there and you make it so that it works for you and you put 100% effort into it.
I also feel like MMA or wrestling for MMA is important too. Jiu-jitsu is important, but I think starting off, especially amateur MMA, I mean, defense with wrestling, those things are very important. Transitioning from the ground up is like really important. So I definitely don't want to neglect that part of MMA. So when I do plan to do MMA for my debut, I definitely am going to be focusing a lot of wrestling, a lot of defense, and jiu-jitsu as well. I want to get a good solid amount of training before I jump into MMA, because once I'm in the MMA world, I mean, there's no going back for me, and it's only up from there, and I plan on dominating. So I'm young, I'm 22, and I definitely want to focus on perfecting the craft and my skills before rushing in there first, you know.
So, a little left field, but you ring girl for XFN, right?
Yes.
Yeah, how long you been doing that?
I did a few events for them before, and I thought it was really cool. It was kind of like the fighter ring girl kind of dynamic duo thing, so it's nice.
So, I really would love to see a ring girl make her MMA debut in the ring that she ring girls in. Like, why is this not happening?
Soon. I hope to fight for XFN soon. I love Daniel K. I love Kat. They have the best promotion, I think, in South Florida for amateur MMA, amateur kickboxing, even combat jiu-jitsu, grappling. I think their promotion is one of the best here in South Florida. So hopefully I plan on making my debut in XFN soon.
That'd be badass. Oh, I can't wait. I'm going to definitely be there for that for sure, 100%. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
So one of the things with Fighter's Way that I want to put out there for people, because I want people to get more involved with martial arts, but one of the things that's most difficult is balancing, in your case, you did the school, working, and martial arts. Like, break it down for someone who has a workload like yours that wants to get into the sport because they have a love for it and they want to follow through.
I mean, one advice for somebody who lives a very fast-paced lifestyle like I do is just stay on top of it and stay consistent. And time management is super important. I currently just graduated from FAU with my bachelor's in exercise science, and I plan on going to grad school to get my master's in occupational therapy. And so it's a lot. It can kind of be a lot to have the full-time student workload on you all the time. And I also have a full-time nanny. And so I think what helps is that I love everything that I'm doing. I think I'm very passionate about school and learning. I'm very passionate about martial arts and learning. I'm very passionate about nannying and nurturing. And so I feel like if you don't love what you do as well, it just makes it that much harder, and you get nothing done. You're unproductive. I wake up every morning and I'm super blessed to do everything that I do. And so I make the most out of my day and most out of my time. I mean, sometimes there's Netflix days and you have to have rest days to reset and recharge. Those are important, but for the most part, I keep motivated knowing that I have goals that I want to set and I want to go get them. I want to go get those title matches. I want to go get those degrees. I want to go take care of all the kids that I love. And I think time management is just really important and to make sure you do what you love.
Yeah. So kind of like expanding on doing what you love, like what would you tell future martial artists, or like if you could talk to yourself when you were like 10, 12 years old, like, what would you tell yourself? Like,
I love that question. That's such a good question. If I could talk to myself when I was a kid, or any other young woman, or anybody in general, I mean, just keep pushing, be consistent, and just keep fighting. I mean, keep fighting for what you want. If you want it, go get it. Don't wait on anybody else to tell you to go get it. Don't wait on anybody else to motivate you to get it. Your discipline and your consistency and the love and the passion that you have for whatever it is that you're doing, especially martial arts. I mean, forget what anybody says, just go get it, you know?
That is amazing. I love that. I think we're going to finish on that note. I really appreciate you sitting down and talking with me today.
Oh my God,
thank you so much.
She's the best, okay? Everybody go check her out.
She's the best. She's the best.
From one ring girl to the next.
There you go.